Hi, Amelia.
Hi, how are you
Nice.
doing?
I'm good, thank you. It's really lovely to have you here on our little interview um, that we're going to do because recently you wrote a blog about your experience on a step team 10 years ago, and it's an amazing blog. Please read it. It will be in the comments section thingy caption. And yeah, I just thought it would be great to kind of get on and hear your thoughts in person. So what prompted you to write this blog, apart from it being like the 10-year anniversary? Why was it important to share about it?
Yeah, so I mean, ten years is a milestone, right? So I thought, it felt like a significant occasion, as you say, like it is a milestone. Um, so I'd done one for the Mexico trip that I did previously. That was with Urban Saints and More Ministries, and I just kind of gotten to the point of like 10 years is a big thing, and so I just kind of want to reflect on it a little bit, and so I thought, oh, I'll do it for step as well when that gets to 10 years. But I think the biggest reason really is I just can't stop talking about it. Like anyone who knows me knows that I literally just don't shut up about my experiences with Latin Link and going to Latin America, because it was just so significant, and so I
Mm.
thought, it would be good to um like I'm a bit of an external processor, so it'd be good to kind of get all of those kind of thoughts out and also do some reflecting, like mostly just as helpful for me as well. Like how do I feel about it having been 10 years? And also like as a Latin Link mobilizer, like maybe this will be helpful within that as well. But yeah, mostly just kind of like actually just needing to um reflect on this huge experience and yeah, kind of how am I after 10 years post step? Crazy.
Yeah, I was reading your blog, of course, and the amazing phrase in it that says, "Step irrevocably changed me." So tell us a little bit about some of those changes. Why was Step so significant for you?
I think for where I was in my life at that time, so I was on my gap year, and definitely part of it was kind of like a coming of age thing. I think for me, it was like actually, I'm not doing this with anybody's help as such. Like obviously, like it's a group set up with Latin Link and there is structure to it in that way. But it's more that it's like, okay, this is nothing to do with my parents, this is nothing to do with like school or any kind of institution. Like this is me stepping out in faith. And like as a 19-year-old, like that's obviously really huge. And like, you're stepping into the world for the first time. Um, but yeah, I think it's like you're thrown so out of your comfort zone. And you're so kind of like reliant on Jesus for literally everything. And it shifted my perspective so much on like, you know, the world, Latin America, all of that, but also kind of in terms of my relationship with Jesus, that shifted a lot as well.
Mm.
Because you are just kind of put in a situation where you have no choice but to rely on God for literally everything. Um, and 4 months is a long time, like it doesn't sound like a long time when you put it like that, but actually it is a long time, and it's a long time to be in a completely alien situation and completely like out of your comfort zone. And so yeah, like it did irrevocably change me because the impact that that has, that kind of experience is.
Yeah. Yeah, that is so exciting how that dependence upon Jesus kind of grows when you're out there. And you were doing Spring Step, which is our longer one, which is like
Mhm.
4 months in two different places. Where did you go?
We went to Peru and to Bolivia. So we had 2 months in a little town just on the outskirts of Lima called Huaycan. And we were helping a local charity there called Asociación Agape. Um, and they have like safe houses for women and girls who have experienced abuse.
Mm.
But they also do things in the local community in Huaycan to help prevent neglect, educating both children and parents on like children's rights and that kind of thing. Um, and like running workshops. And then we were staying with a pastor and his wife as well, and getting involved in their church, which was really awesome. And then in Bolivia, we were there for 2 months in Cochabamba in a neighborhood called Tigipaya, which I still think is a great name.
It's
It's
a
so great. It's
great
just
name.
such
I
a
love
time to
it.
stay. So we were in Tikifaya, Cochabamba, with a church called UC Philadelphia, helping them to build their church building and getting involved in their youth group as well.
Yeah. You talk in your blog about why it's good with Latin Link in terms of being invited in. Share
Mm.
a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so I mean, as far as I understand it, obviously I've not been on the organizational side of this, but as far as I understand it, local communities will put together proposals to send to Latin Link and say, like, we would like to have a team here. And then Latin Link will take those under consideration, see kind of what the accommodation situation is, what the project situation is going to be. And so it's really good because it means that like no one's going where they're not invited to go,
Yeah.
which is so good because actually like obviously historically the reputation of mission has been that um the wonderful upstanding white skinned Christians will go to these far off places
Mm.
and tell people the gospel, which in itself is a good thing, but the way that it's been done, it's been so forced on communities, and the reputation of it's so intertwined with colonialism, and which is obviously just so damaging,
Mm. Yeah.
and so much like racism as well, and it's given mission this really bad rap,
Mm.
because again in itself it's not a bad thing to tell people about Jesus, but the way that we do it
Yeah.
is so important. And so I love that Latin Link is invited in,
Mm.
and does not go where they are not wanted,
Mm.
and it also makes it really reliant on local people to lead as well, which is so important because like I think I said it in the blog too, like local people always know their needs better than anybody else.
Yeah.
They don't need us as like six white teenagers to come tell them what they need, because like what on earth do we know?
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Yeah, and so like it's yeah, I really love that we're invited in, and that that it's knowing as well that what we're doing is useful to them,
Yeah.
and it just shifts that perspective so much.
Yeah, that is definitely what we try to do is it's led by locals. It's yeah, places where there are real needs. Sometimes it's physical needs, like you were doing some construction. Sometimes it's more spiritual stuff that you'll do evangelism, helping the church do outreach. So we do offer that whole variety, but in a way that is led by the local people.
Yeah,
And so that brings with it the blessing of good relationships.
yeah,
How are
yeah,
your
totally.
relationships with the places where you were serving?
Oh, so great, so great. It was so fun to like actually fully get immersed in life. And I love like when people ask me like what I was doing, I was like, oh yeah, I lived in Peru and Bolivia for a little while. Again, even though it's such a short amount of time, because we really did, like we were really
Yeah.
in community, and those community relationships were so wonderful.
Mm.
So it was really interesting actually the difference between Peru and Bolivia. So when we were in Peru, I think the people that we were living with, and particularly like there was a particular family from the church that we got to know quite well. It was like six siblings who were about sort of like around the age of 30. So for us that was really great because we had friends who were like sort of closest to our own age, and they really understood that we were 19. Do you know what I mean? Like they really understood that actually we were kids, and that this was quite big for us. And so like they were really wonderful in just looking after us, and like there was no like pressure in that sense to step up and be an adult, or like you're the missionaries, like you should be doing this and that or whatever. There was
Mm.
none of that whatsoever, and they really looked after us, which was really wonderful. And our host parents, Myra and Salomon, were just lovely. Like I remember when we arrived, it was just Myra that was at home, and Salomon had been like away. He was a pastor, so he was like, he was like traveling and preaching and stuff. And he arrived home like a couple of weeks actually after we'd arrived, and he walked in and just proclaimed that we were his children. Which
Brilliant.
is so lovely. And like I just remember like being sat around the dinner table and being given like the most random life advice, because we would just be sat in like comfortable silence just eating, and then he would come out with like, in a good marriage blah blah blah, like okay.
Just what you need. But
It
yeah,
was great, it was so
yeah.
fun. And then interestingly, like in Bolivia it almost felt not the in that we weren't cared for, but like the opposite in that it was very much you guys are the missionaries and we want to honor you as the missionaries.
Mm,
And like it was almost like I don't want to use the phrase on a pedestal, but I can't really think of a different phrase.
yeah.
It was very much like when we went to people's houses to eat, and we like we'd be invited round to people's houses like on a regular basis. Whenever we went to eat, they wouldn't eat with us, and
Mm, mm,
like I think obviously for us, like we were like we want to eat with you, we want to get to know you, but it would be the six of us and the pastor of the church usually that would go to people's houses for lunch, and we'd be there like we want to build a relationship with you, we want to get to know you, like all of this. But I think for them, like from what as I understand it, I might be wrong, but for them I think that was part of honoring us was like the
mm.
service of that. Like we want to serve you, and like they weren't taking any of that for themselves. um so but in both places we did form some really beautiful relationships, and again in the Bolivian church that doesn't mean that we didn't form relationship
Yeah.
with people, it was just different kind of um and so yeah, it was lovely. It was a very challenging experience, I think, for relationship building, because I mean like I was team translator, so I was kind of okay, but I know for the rest of the team there were some struggles with like the language barrier and um building relationship
Mm,
like without being able to speak fluent Spanish was kind of difficult, like especially like if I was unwell or like for whatever reason like we'd gone to separate events like split teams and that kind of thing. um the language barrier does provide some kind of like difficulties there, but
mm.
like even still, even without being able to communicate fully in the same language, like I know that they also built some really wonderful relationships. So yeah, it was just so beautiful.
Yeah. And it's good because you had very different cultural experiences, which are all an expression of what it means to kind of be in Latin America.
Mm.
So, yeah. So obviously, we talked about a lot of great things to do with being on step, but a lot of people think that short-term mission isn't really any relevant anymore, or it's not a good thing to do. Obviously, you talked about it's kind of maybe some bad reputation to do with mission and people coming in and kind of imposing. But so why would you think that short-term mission is still relevant?
Oh my gosh, yeah, it's absolutely still relevant. I think again, I think a lot of people would probably say that because of the bad reputation that mission has kind of coming more recent if we move away from the idea of like colonialism and that kind of thing. Like more recently, I think people think it's a waste of like airplane fuel. You're basically going on holiday or something like that. Like it's a long flight for a very short amount of time. Um, and actually there's been a lot of discussion recently about volunteerism, people just kind of going
I've not heard that
and
phrase.
like wanting to get keep. Have you not? Oh,
No.
sure. It basically means like well, it's what it sounds like basically,
Yes.
kind of people kind of going to volunteer, but treating it as a holiday, and they want
Mm.
to go and get pictures with cute kids who, and it looks like they're helping the kids, and like like all of that kind of thing. And
I,
basically using these kind of things for their own entertainment,
yeah.
um, essentially. And but it's not supposed to be like that, and it doesn't have to be like that at all. And again, this is a great thing about Latin Link, is that it's not treated like that at all. And as I was saying earlier, like the focus is very much on the transformation of the person that's going on mission, and the service to the community that you're going to serve.
Mm.
And that will never be irrelevant. Like Jesus, the walk with Jesus that we do in our lives, he's constantly transforming us, right? And so like not all of us are called to serve for 18, 19 years in Peru.
Mm.
And like that's an amazing calling to have, but like for me my calling was to go to Latin America for 4 months and then to come back and serve here in Plymouth
Mm.
where I live. And and that for me, I mean, part of that was a challenge because, like, I think I said at the start of the blog, like, I never thought it would get to 10 years without having been able to go back.
Yeah.
And that's been a huge challenge for me. But actually, my calling has been to where I am now and to my workplace and to my friends here. but I wouldn't be who I am without the transforming work that God did in my life through step. And so I think if you view it as like, okay, God's called me to do this. This is an opportunity for transformation and to get closer to Him
Mm,
and to experience and show His love as well, to people. And you just never know what He's going to do with it. And I think there's never anything irrelevant about the experiences that God gives you and calls you into, because He's always going to use them for His good and for His glory. And that's absolutely what I found. And for me as well, like I'm now a mobilizer for Latin Link, and yay. And I
yay.
love it. It's so much fun. It's great to have this, like it's keeping that connection alive for a start. Like the Latin Link family is so beautiful as well, because like I really love that you can like meet someone on Zoom once and then see them at an event like 3 years later for the first time in person, and you're like, oh, I know you, like your family. Like it's so cute.
I mean,
It's
well, the
like,
tagline's community with a calling. So we do
right?
like to focus on the whole, community aspect. And yeah, we do feel a bit like a family. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so lovely. And like we did an event in Birmingham last year to celebrate 40 years of Step, which was so fun. And it was so like we'd never met before that point, right?
Nope.
Like I think we must have met once or twice on Zoom, and like I knew who you were, but like, and that was it. And then we met in person, like, here we are having a great chat. Um, but and that's the case with so many people. It's so lovely.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, so like Latin Link is a huge part of my life now, and I wouldn't be without it. And it's so great having that kind of alternate um way to get involved. I know, adorable. That alternate way to get involved even when I'm not physically
Yeah.
in Latin America serving. And yeah, like, that might not be the case for other people. Like, I don't, the rest of my team like don't mobilize. As far as I know, they don't have any involvement with Latin Link at the moment. But I know that actually, for them that was still a transformative experience.
Yeah.
And each of us got different things out of the trip. And so like short-term mission can, if done right, can never be irrelevant. There's, again, we've talked about the complicated ethics of short-term mission and that kind of thing, and it is a complex thing. Um, but if you're going into it with like, Lord's like, this is my time, this is my money, this is my energy, like do with it as you will. That's never going to be anything that He's not going to
Mm.
use.
Yeah.